All right. Well, we'll see what happens. It's not that far away now as far as the NFL draft is concerned. Let's look at what's definitely not far away, though, and that's this weekend's Final Four. And we got, a couple of teams that I don't think a lot of people thought would be in the Final Four. You got a 7 seed and 8 seed. Kentucky has really put it together. We'll look at them in a moment. But first, let's talk about Connecticut and Florida. UConn, a 7 seed. So they weren't, they certainly weren't supposed to be here. And they barely got through their first game. If you remember, they really struggled against St. Joe's. Had to scratch and claw their way to a win there. But since then, the Huskies have gotten very hot. Kevin Ollie did an amazing job with a defensive scheme against Michigan State. The Spartans only attempted 8 field goals in the paint in the entire game. Not made field goals. 8 attempts inside the paint in that 40-minute game over the weekend. That's amazing defense. They're up against a team that plays tremendous defense themselves. Florida, boy, it's been a while since they've lost a basketball game. They're 36-2 now. And one of those 2 losses, though, an early season 1-point defeat against this Connecticut squad.
That's right. And that was the last time they lost.
Yep. Well,
back in that game, Wilbekin was coming off of suspension.
Yeah.
And he didn't play in the last 3 minutes because I think he got a little banged up in that. And that's a big difference. It really doesn't matter who won that game to me. The game was played in Connecticut. What matters to me is that how the game was played. It was pretty close. Last minute basket by Shabazz, who's an incredible ball player. He can take over. He's a guy that can win a game all by himself. But the problem in that game, the way I see it, is Florida shot 49% in the game, 43% for Connecticut, but 3-pointers made it for Connecticut. It was the defensive issue. Connecticut's going to have to find a way to be able to rebound the ball because this Florida team can do that, and they did out-rebound them in that game. I think it was 34-26 or something along those lines. Now, Florida has had a little bit of a cupcake walk in this tournament. They haven't really played anybody, in my opinion, that's substantial. They played UCLA, which has a very high rating. But I'm gonna be honest, and I hate stepping out and saying this, but I really think UCLA is poorly coached. I just don't like the way they play ball. They don't take care of the ball. They're not disciplined. They got enormous talent, no question about it. So the recruiting job is great. Pittsburgh had an up and down season the whole year. And Albany is Albany. It's a lower rated school. Dayton should not have covered that game. I took 11, 10.5 in the game, and I covered the game. They should never have covered the game. Florida totally had them dominated, up 17. They just coasted. But Dayton never quit playing, so that's those backdoor covers do happen. But when you look at this team here, when you look at Connecticut, they handled Michigan State. I mean, Michigan State played a very bad game against this defense, and that people don't talk about. They think about Napier, and they think about Boatwright, and they think about Daniels, they think about all that scoring potential. They don't talk about this defense. This defense is pretty damn good.
Yep.
And they handled Villanova. They handled Iowa State, albeit Iowa State was a little bit banged up. They lost a key player. In Michigan State, they just handled. I think they have the potential to hang with Florida. Are they the better team? Absolutely not the better team. The line is about right. 6.5 is about the right number. Now, the pressure of a game like this in a big environment, this stadium is huge, and the background shooting background is very difficult in big stadiums like this. Florida played in this stadium twice last year, and that could help them because many of the same players are there. So that could help them, but Connecticut plays in big stadiums too. Shabazz, Napier, Boatwright, and Daniels, they can all hit outside shots. If they can hit their outside shots and don't turn the ball over, this can be a game. And if it comes down to the last minute and it's close, it's, bottom line, I have to favor Shabazz Napier to take it to the hoop and pull one of his magic tricks again. So Florida's going to have to dominate on the boards, take care of the ball. Wilbekin could be a big difference. He's probably going to be guarding Boatwright in this game, I would suspect. He's a good player. He didn't play the entire game the first time they met, and he was out of the lineup the last 3 minutes, which is a key part. So, like I said, winning and losing in that game doesn't matter to me. It's how the game matched up. So it's about what Connecticut does well. They need to be able to do well. And the problem with these tournament games, going back in history, when you're betting on a three-point shooting team, you know, that is a very fickle part of the game, because you don't always have good nights from that long range. Betting on strong defense and rebounding and foul shooting, which Connecticut does very well, by the way, Florida not so much. So the strength for Connecticut, take care of the ball, make your foul shots when you're in the situation to do it, and hit some of those outside shots. Florida, play defense and rebound, and that's what they do well. It's going to be a hell of a game. 6 points is the right line. It's just a matter of trying to figure out the pace of the game and how you can't really predict who's going to hit three-point shots.
Well, when the matchup first came out, I thought Florida might be maybe 3.5 or 4-point favorite, in which case I would lean toward the Gators. Well, they made a very good number, 6.5, and that made me think, well, maybe that's a little too high, because UConn is no chump or lucky team. There's always a split as to whether you like rebounding this time of the year or great guard play. I'm actually in both camps. I think they're both exceptional. And here's a matchup where UConn's backcourt is just sensational with these two guys. Napier in particular has carried the team. Florida does have the rebound edge. When you look back at that December 2nd game, UConn was a 4-point home favorite. They won by 1 point. The total went under 131. Florida shot very well, 49%. UConn 43%, and the game was decided from long range. Florida took only 9 3-pointers. They made 3 of them. But UConn was terrific, 11 of 24 from long range. Napier had 26 points. Even made a 4-point play late in the game. But Connecticut was out-rebounded at home, 34-26, as Jim mentioned, and that's going to be a big plus here for the Gators. I think they're probably going to slow the pace down, because the 2 games they lost were not high-scoring games, 59-53 to Wisconsin, 65-64 to UConn. And keep in mind, when Florida plays a team with a good team with a winning percentage over 60%, they're 25-10 under the total. Dave, I'm just curious as to what kind of defensive moves, strategic moves that Billy Donovan might come up with against Napier.
Well, I don't know that he can contain Napier completely, but you can make his life as difficult as possible. Connecticut, you know, look, if you're looking at the perimeter shooting, I think there's not much doubt about who the more dangerous team is. Connecticut, with their great guard play, can knock them down, but they can't ignore the pain. They've got to try and draw Florida into some foul difficulties. By the way, how this game's officiated could have a big bearing on the outcome. If it's called close, that's going to favor Florida. That's going to favor Connecticut. The Huskies get to the foul line. If they get to the foul line with, say, 8 minutes to go in each half, and are able to kind of not live there, but at least get opportunities to make free throws, they're going to have a really good chance to win this basketball game, because they are very proficient from the foul line. Florida wants to turn it into a slugfest. They want to force Connecticut to use a lot of time on the 35-second clock on as many possessions as possible, and not send them to the foul line. Make them beat them from outside. You know, look, if the Huskies are hitting their shots from beyond the perimeter, if they do what they did, 11 for 24? If they do that in this game, no, they're going to win. The problem is, it's not easy to shoot 11 for 24. And Jim, you mentioned the background being in a gigantic building that they have these NCAA tournaments in. We've seen where teams can struggle from the outside. They're just not used to that shooting background. I think those are things that favor Florida. The problem is, you know, it's a lot of points to lay in a tournament that's featured so many close games. I mean, one after another. And you look at Connecticut, a 6-point win, a 5-point win, an 8-point win in overtime, though. And the only game they dominated was Villanova, which was just absolutely horrible that day. Even Florida, you know, they beat the daylights out of Albany, but, you know, like you said, Jim, it's Albany. It's not like they've been slaughtering teams. Now, they did dominate Dayton, But the fact is they only won by 10 points, and Connecticut's better than Dayton. I think they've done a really good job with the number. My initial take on the total, though, is that I think it's going to be tough for these teams to score. And I think the pace, I don't think Florida's going to play racehorse basketball. 126.5, barring no overtime, I think that might be a bit high. This is a game that I think is going to be kind of a grinder, so my lean on the total, I'm going to save the side, because I do have an opinion on the side, but I'm going to save that for people who take advantage of the offer. But on the total, I think I lean to the under. I don't think we're going to see a lot of points here. All right.
It's probably come down to the end. If there's a lot of foul shooting, that can kill you with an underplay. But it's bottom line is odds makers don't always make bad lines.
No, they don't.
As a matter of fact, they don't make bad lines. They usually don't make bad lines at all because lines it's mathematical and there's formulas for it, so they know what they're doing. But what happens in games during the year, look-aheads and letdowns and et cetera, it's not going to happen here. These teams are all coming in here. They're all amped up. Everybody wants to win the next game. Everybody wants to win the national title. None of those factors come into play. It really comes down to, do you believe that Connecticut has a chance to win this game? And if you do, then you got to take the points.
We'll talk about Wisconsin and Kentucky in a moment. We want to let you know that you can get free plays on a daily basis from both Jim and myself. And these are sent directly to your cell phone via text message. Very easy to get them. Jim, all they need to do is text one word to 313131, and that one word gets them plays.
It's winner, WINNER, to 313131, and we'll send you a free play each and every day right to your cell phone. That's winner to 313131.
And you can also get my free play every day, same method. You text Kokin, COKIN, which is my last name, to 313131, and you'll be getting back a free play on a text message each and every day. Again, that's Kokin to 313131.